Last night I had a conversation with a female gamer friend and discovered we both were survivors of domestic violence of former boyfriends. She didn't get any peace until her ex-boyfriend went to prison. Mine didn't stop until I left. I will not violate examples from her experiences, but boil mine down. I experienced various fractures to my face, arms, hands, ribs, collarbone, vertebrae, and legs. 18 stitches, scratched corneas, 3 fingernails ripped off with pliers, strangled to the point of my voice box being cracked, and no voice for 3 months. He killed my kitten, and he purposefully beat me to the point of a miscarriage and a resulting abortion. After I left, there came the stalking, until I was with a boyfriend who he was afraid of. The last insult came in the form of tattoos he put on me when I was passed out drunk. He had decided to mark me as his for the rest of my life. Turns out by doing this, he gave me hepatitis C. He couldn't have known, but he wouldn't have cared. I got lucky. Today my body has cleared the hepatitis C virus, and the ugly jailhouse tattoos are covered up by beautiful ones. I have reclaimed my body as mine and no one else's. I have chosen tattoos and piercings to do this. I often refer to this as reclaiming pieces of my soul. People often ask the same question of domestic abuse victims, and that is, why do you stay? It's not hard to explain. It's much like Stockholm Syndrome. It takes approximately 72 hours to break the human psyche. People in these relationships are gradually worn down and isolated from family and friends, and their support system is slowly eroded at first. Then the violent behaviors really start to occur, usually just verbal in the form of arguments and the sneaky erosion of the self-esteem and self-respect. You don't notice it happening. The physical fighting starts and rapidly spirals out of control, but there is only one person in that relationship with the control. The victim is convinced that no one else will love them, their family and friends won't forgive them or have abandoned them and don't want them back in their lives again. The victims are convinced that they are not lovable, that they cannot make it in the world without the abuser. Total control of the victim's life is gone, resting in the hands of the abuser. This pattern occurs in both straight and gay relationships. It does not matter your sexual orientation. The abuser is really powerless when it comes right down to it. The abuser fears the victim's support group of family and friends, co-workers, which often the abuser controls the victim through financial control as well. So the victim often doesn't work, and if they do, the abuser controls their money and the behavior of the victim at work through various threats. Another way the abuser is threatened is through the victim obtaining an education. Education leads to independence and empowerment, the very things that the abuser has spent time deconstructing. When children and even pets are involved, they are used as weapons and hostages. When victims flee to a shelter, they may only stay a couple of days before they go back. One of the reasons they go back is simply because they don't know how to make it on the outside. It's very similar to when inmates reoffend to go back to prison because they don't know any other way of life besides prison life. Victims have been stripped of their own individuality. Their identity has become intertwined with their abusers. The violence experienced escalates quickly and happens often. Victims often become introverted and develop habits like covering bruises, keeping quietly to themselves, and defensive postures such as exaggerated startle responses, flinching when a nearby hand is raised in a quick movement, never looking in another person's eyes, walking lightly like they really are walking on eggshells, and the avoidance of touching anyone. Drug and alcohol, access to firearms, unemployment, and poverty are all major contributors to domestic violence, but it should be noted that the need to control a partner without these factors is present also. It is often difficult to pin down highly accurate statistics of domestic violence, which covers family violence as well as intimate partner violence. Much goes unreported, especially in same-sex relationships, because of the stigma attached to homosexuality. Approximately 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. Approximately 1/3 of intimate partner violence also results in children being abused. You will find links in the crotch bar. You may be surprised by what you see. I hope this gives some kind of idea of the scope of domestic violence. It's a disease that there is no cure for, and there never will be. For all of you out there, I hope you have a good day. Much love and respect.